I think there is a real vacuum for innovation in the space. I think COVID opened up this opportunity of highlighting e-learning and digital products for education was really important. We found that the existing solutions in the market are either too expensive or certain parts are not fully there for the end user, the students or the teachers or the principals. It was interesting because I think I was like 18, 19 sitting in the staff room and it was just like, oh hey, I just taught you.
No, you went from student then straight to staff.
Yeah.
Every person that I've talked to that said that to, they're like, I've never heard that happen.
Never heard it happen, yeah.
Yeah, no, very unique case.
But it just shows you that there is means and ways outside university, that you can actually pave a path. Is it a bit longer, more painful sometimes? Yeah, I guess so.
But again, would you take it back?
No.
No. Welcome back to another episode of Built from Scratch.
With yours truly, Erik and Daragh.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you in 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Did you miss me?
Not really.
I could tell I got a lot of abuse before we turned on the cameras.
No, I did miss you. It's
all love.
It's actually way better doing the podcast in person than it is over Zoom as well.
Yeah, my clips did not perform at all on Instagram with the virtual or the fuzzy kind of recording.
Kind of makes sense though that obviously higher quality clips, of like just even production quality does better. So
yeah.
But anyways, you're back now. So if your clips underperform, it's actually just because of you, not because of the.
Okay, I'll just name drop some celebrities and quotes on today's podcast. No
You're
problem.
more than welcome to that. It's okay. How was your trip? You're in Miami and then New York. How the podcast hasn't have to hear how you got on in New York.
Yeah, New York was great. It was. I spent a week there. I was supposed to only spend a few days there, but had some opportunities for people were coming over, and just the stars aligned. So I said, let me just extend my trip. It was super busy, but it was worth it. Yeah, hustling. I love New York, So it wasn't. You didn't have to convince me too much to stay, but it was great.
Fun city.
Yeah,
and
a lot of fun.
Lot of potential over there as well. So and I know you're talking deals over there. So. Very cool.
Yes, yeah. Hopefully, come home with a check soon.
Yeah. Always, nothing less is expected.
Yes.
So I might kick off with the first point.
Well, again, you kind of have to introduce yourselves because, probably nobody knows who Daragh Jordan is.
Yeah, fair enough.
We're at episode. Is this 9?
9, yeah.
No, episode 9. See, I keep on track of this stuff.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
My name is Daragh Jordan. I run a company called Magnet. We're a tech startup looking to optimize messaging for digital agencies and eventually services businesses in general, all optimization inside that. And we also, Erik and I, have a car park called Sky Park, which is based in Galway City, which works with local businesses to help solve their parking solution currently. And
I'm Erik. I'm a future customer of Daragh. I run a digital agency called Grafton Digital that we started together in 2018. And I've taken over the ship. We've actually only announced it on LinkedIn there
this week,
simultaneously, like 1 day apart.
Because I forgot to do it.
Yeah, I was kind of like just waiting. I was like, it was probably time now to just get your socials. It's January, all that. Let's take off any plasters that we have scars on there from 2024 and just go forward. And as announced on LinkedIn a couple of days ago, I've joined the Olive Group, and I'm running the education division with Ian Cochran, and we're here to continue digitalizing schools and businesses over the coming decades. So that's what I'm up to.
In the last 18 months you've been killing it in that sector.
Yeah, it's been like wildfire, but I think there is a real vacuum for innovation in the space. I think COVID opened up this opportunity of highlighting e-learning and digital products for education was really important. So we found that the existing solutions in the market are either too expensive or certain parts are not fully there for the end user, the students or the teachers or the principals. So that's what we're trying to innovate and go on a mission on now to bring to market a stronger proposition. And just watch the next 2-3 months in the newspapers and PR. We're coming up with some cool concepts. So let's see how it performs.
It's really interesting because when people look at our age, they go, these guys in their early 20s, but you've actually been involved in tech and skills for 9 years since you're 15?
9 years. I started with, I think it was kind of junior cert, Garrett Callan. These Garretts seem to have always helped us along the way, right? But a mutual friend with you, Garrett Callan, was my math teacher and STEM teacher.
Yeah.
And Gareth kind of brought myself and another schoolmate, past schoolmate of ours, Patrick Kazimirchak, and we were doing like some, repairs, and just brought me into IT, teased it into me, and you were doing the Microsoft Ambassador program, and that kind of helped us kickstart. I mean, our school was, I think, one of the first Microsoft Showcase schools in the country back in 2013, 14, 15.
Yeah, really early.
Where the whole one-to-one school system just wasn't really a primary concept yet, So I think we both are a great example of coming from e-learning and the digital school.
100%,
and Alan Mongi and Cláiste Baile the whole team there has been, really good for us and to us. So I think it's only makes sense to bring on the flag and keep lighting the fires.
But like I think definitely that sector, it definitely gave you a particularly interest in education, and obviously you've always had a digital lean, but it definitely was always interesting because even years before you started, obviously you joined forces with Olive to actually go and take over the market. That had been on your mind for years to really go in and tackle it, because again, like I said, since 15 years old you were doing repairs and then solving digital problems in school, and then when you left you became a staff member straight away, and then obviously then Grafton took over the contract and etc. But that
was interesting because I think I was like 18, 19 sitting in the staff room, and it was just like, oh hey, I just taught you, and
no, you went from student then straight to staff.
For like 2 months.
Every person that I've talked to that said that to, they're like, I've never heard that happen.
Never heard that happen. Yeah,
no, very unique case.
It was a very unique case, but it just shows you that like there is means and ways outside university, that you can actually pave a path. Is it a bit longer, more painful sometimes? Yeah, I guess so, but everyone has their own road to walk on, so
100%. But again, would you take it back?
No,
me neither.
No. So I actually quite enjoyed it. I think the whole school, working in a school, it's a lot of fun, like you're dealing with new situations every day, you're trying to help people grow and learn, and my job was to make sure that the learning doesn't stop in the classroom, and there's been great support towards me on that. I've learned so much. I think that's where I got a lot of the foundations that I can now carry on. But the interesting perspective I found is now I can talk from a small bit of a teacher's perspective, a lot from the management perspective and a lot from the IT perspective, and that creates like a perfect blend, I think, of skills to contribute back now. And then I have the whole enterprise digitalization skill set that I've built with you over the last 6-7 years.
Yeah.
So that packaged up, I think, is why we call it the Avengers have assembled in the education space. So
I didn't coin that phrase.
That's what we're calling it internally. So the Avengers have assembled. So all right, start promoting Magnate.
Yeah. No. Sorry, is your sales pitch over yet?
Yeah, it is.
No. But no, in all fairness, it was a very organic, and seeing the road, the reason I brought it up is because it was, if you track it back, it was a very organic road of like you arriving at a digital and education blending together and looking to innovate in that space makes a lot of sense. And
I was reflecting with someone over the last few weeks, and they were asking me what did I put down on my CAO. And for a second I forgot what the CAO was, and I just remembered I put down geography teaching in UL, and a secondary.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
I put the first one was geography teaching in UL.
That's a fun fact, I didn't know that.
And then the second part I put down of Athlone IT network systems or something like this, and I think LIT as well, Limerick as well. They're called something else now, but that's what I put down. And I was only thinking, what did you put down for your CAO? Because you were aiming for these. You had a whole YouTube series aiming for a set amount of points.
520, yeah.
520, and you said you got 420.
477.
477.
Yeah.
Is that including your higher level maths points?
So I was doing kind of YouTube at the time, which they've all been taken down. They're not on the internet anymore.
Yeah, that's sad. I was going to watch that over Christmas actually for a bit of
laughing entertainment.
We done a really funny video that probably is good that it's off the internet. Remember we done the hot ones?
Yeah.
That was
probably the best video I've ever put out in my entire.
Probably the best.
It was so
production,
funny.
Shane Heenan's done a great job then, and still he's killing it. But
really funny video. I rewatched before I took it down.
Yeah, we should actually rewatch that one of those.
I can send you the link as well. But I put down digital marketing and AIT, which was something like 200 and something points.
Yeah, but I just couldn't imagine you doing
But it was I was going to do a more general business, start and then specialize. But then I got my whole digital marketing thing into my head, and there's only a couple of at the time, back in 2019, there's only a couple of colleges that were doing undergraduates in digital marketing or anything in that sort of space. Because I remember they brought me in. There was a class of, it was a new course. It was quite small. I think there was maybe about 10 or 12 people in the class. They brought me in and they pitched 2 of their projects to me. Me and my mom were going in because scoping out the college at 17. And then I got up and I had prepared a presentation to show the class about what we're doing, what we're working on. And a couple of guys reached out to me afterwards, about jobs and stuff. But it was kind of like, okay, the agreement with my parents was, give me 1 year to work in the business. I'm guaranteed a place here if everything doesn't work out. And we had like 2 full-time staff by the end of the first year. So like it was,
Yeah, I think it was all about, if we don't have to pay you guys, 50 quid a week and just survive, and happy for you guys to take this chance continuously.
100%. Yeah, and that was kind of the thing with my parents. I'm like, I want to go all in on this because this is what I want to spend. But I remember going down and did a full tour. And, once my parents heard, which was very rational, hey, if all else fails, he's guaranteed to go in here, they were so fine with it. Because did I really want to do 4 years digital marketing? Probably not. I don't think there's really any leadership undergrads either. I don't know. Again, at the time, at 17, what do you, I was like, I'll probably just do business.
Yeah, but it's one of the biggest stress points after just studying for your leaving cert while trying to prepare for what you have an interest in and what you want to pursue. And I think we both get asked this a lot of should I go to more of an IT university? Should I go to more of a non-IT university? And the truth is, I don't think there's a major difference between what you actually learn. It's how you learn it and what facilities you have. I found the ITs to be really, really strong in terms of practical experience, work experience wise. You kind of get a little bit more out there and you kind of learn from there. Whereas the other universities, they tend to give you more of a prescribed course and actions to go through and then experience to counter that. So probably the result is, you're coming out, workforce ready, but it's just how you learn it. Yeah. So I've actually, the reason I picked the IT is because it would have suited me more to work in a company, and I just like the way they break up every few months. You get a chance to do this and do all that, and you can really figure out if I'm actually interested in this or not, because I think a lot of times the problem is people look at an industry based on salaries. Yeah. So it's I remember, what I'm talking about, they wanted to become an engineer, right? And this person wasn't an engineer type, right? But they loved the salary of, oh my God, I can earn X amount a year, and that's what they were, growing towards. And it was such a pain for them to learn at 5, 6, 7 years and constantly fail, because it just wasn't in what they were actually enjoying. Yeah. So that's just okay, great, you're probably coming out a nice salary, but you're not enjoying what you want to do. So I think that's what's really about, is if someone doesn't know what they want to go into, is don't be afraid to take chances. It's the time to take chances. You're young, it's totally okay to fail, and repurpose, take a year out, work, travel, do all that. Because even when you're 30, 40, it's not too late to go back and repurpose. It's just harder because you have bigger commitments. Yeah. So,
but I think the interesting piece is a conversation I had recently, and it's there's money in everything. As in we were talking about a very good restaurant that is making unbelievably good money. There's money in education. There's money in tech. There's money in SaaS. Just get really good at a thing. Yeah. And money will follow.
And push for it. So myself and Jeremy, we were in Miami. We asked a landscaper, right? 3 guys. We just asked them, they're in one of the richest neighborhoods, DJ Khaled's grass is getting cut by them and everything like this, right? These guys, 3 guys, $7.5 million a year. 3 guys.
Crazy.
And I'm sure they're the best landscapers to be in that area, but they're using the skills and their passion, and they're making $7 million a year from cutting grass. Yeah. Is it a seriously difficult concept? No, but it's a skill you master. So it doesn't matter what you do, just be the best at what you do, I think is, the lesson.
And you can make money. That's why whenever someone goes, I'm going to do this area because money, I'm is this conducive, or is this aligned with your personality traits, what you actually want to do? It's certain questions when you do personality tests, do you want to work alone, do you want to work with people? Do you want to be out constantly on the road? Do you want to be in an office? And answering these questions or figuring out what these things are, and there's loads of personality tests you can do online, which they're not gospel, but they're definitely a good indication of okay, I like deep work, I don't really like dealing with people, maybe you should be an accountant, or I love being around people, you give me energy, I like to win, I like that metric, maybe you should be a salesperson, it's
100%. But I think, and I know we have to get into our points, but it just
It's probably a point in and of itself.
it created a point in itself, right? But I think it's one of the biggest like losses for any person. Doesn't matter if you're young or whatever. Is like not trying to chase what you want to do, you know, because you're just trying to fit into the agenda of others and the expectation of others. And I think, you know, like your parents setting the standard of, oh my God, you should be in AI because AI is where millions are made. Okay, are they wrong? No, like AI has millions to be made in, but it's the same as landscaping. It's the same as being a doctor. There's millions to be made everywhere, and like some people are just not motivated by money. And it's like you hear this said all the time. It isn't relatively always about the money. It's about the enjoyment and how you make the money, and just make enough to live. Some people want to make enough to change, and some people want to make enough to, you know, like build some mega business going forward, and that's just lifestyle and really expensive things motivate them. It just depends what pushes you to get out of bed and go for it. You know, but like the worst thing, I remember like one of our missions has always been is we always wanted to create an environment in a business we both enjoyed working in. And as long as that's had our satisfaction on that, you know, your earnings and everything else were like secondary. You know, so we're just like don't be a bad guy doing business with.
One of the blessings, and again I'll kick into points then, but one of the blessings was definitely like of our job to date was, and it's not usually people expect, is we choose every person we get to work with. Like we handpick the people that we want to actually have around us every single day. Because I know a lot of people look at me and go, it must be the flexible hours, it must be the prospects of lots of money. I'm like, no, it's I actually handpick every person I get to work with and deal with every day. And that's the ultimate one where I'm like, because like, you know, outside of like your romantic partner, they're the people you're going to spend the most amount of time with, and if you
is your career. And
when you get hired into a company, you get no decision in that. Whereas we obviously build out our teams and who we want to work with, and it definitely is probably one of the best parts of what we get to do. And like I said, that's always been very wary of that early days, and I think that's why. I was even talking to one of your team members, Wayne, the last day, and he said it was one of the, because he went from a very large company to here, and he's like, it's probably one of the things he noticed the most is he really likes who he gets to work with. He's like, everyone in here is very different and backgrounds extremely different, but he was like, he really enjoyed coming in and getting to hang out and like be around these people every day.
And the passion, you know, the passion that we've gathered and the culture we've created, like that's the dynamite. That's what you have to be really good at as a leader is to bring people together and help them achieve goals together. You know. So
100%.
I mean, let's get into it. Like, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I'll shoot first. I probably do one of my points, maybe, and you do two yours, because. But we'll see how we go time wise. So. This was Erik thinks I'm just having a sales piece here for Magnate, but I was actually inspired out of a conversation I had this week with a weightless company, and then a study I found by Microsoft done very recently, which I thought was very interesting. One company I was talking to was trying to combat. They said that they have a serious issue with people just responding to messages all day long and not being counted as productive. And they're in the service-based business, they're a digital agency, and they're, for Ireland's context, one of the biggest. So they're pretty big. And the amount of time they're losing is absolutely ginormous. So what they're currently doing is they do a morning stand-up, 15-30 minutes, then they try and have an unbroken block of time to focus and then catch up a message at the end of the day, which I actually think is a pretty good approach, truthfully. But interestingly, Microsoft did a survey with 31,000 people across 31 different countries. 57% of time people spend in 57% of all their time was spent in either answering messages or in meetings, and 43% was actually made creating value. So that actually looks like is they're either in Microsoft Teams, Outlook, or in Teams meetings or whatever. And then 43% was on Outlook, and OneNote, Word, whatever. So actual creation of value was so small. And then just sending messages.
Less than half is the output there.
Which I was like, that's a crazy stat, you know. And like basically, like nearly 70% of the people then in that study then, which I can link below, said they don't have enough. They have too much uninterrupted focus time. They don't have enough time to actually do work. They're actually just bombarded with messaging. They never get time to actually sit in and focus. There's a lot of studies around human focus and deep work where people actually get into this flow state where you actually get to knock out a tremendous amount of work and really create value. People aren't getting the chance because it's all constant pinging. And that's one thing obviously we're looking into at Magnate. But I thought it was interesting that when you expand this over 50, 100, 500,000
It
staff,
just continuously multiplies, like
Yeah.
like trends continue.
Yeah.
That's one thing you got to learn is trends always continue.
and when you're in a billable hours game, as you know, it's like billable hours versus like uninterrupted focus time is like, okay, nothing's being moved as fast as it should be. And I think it's an interesting one. The real one I really like is, are you, especially as manager, are you in manager mode or maker mode? Because when you're in maker mode, leave the person alone, let them go build their stuff, build their marketing campaign, their web development, whatever. Or if you're in manager mode, back-to-back meetings, stack that time, you know? And I think as founders, I definitely think when I'm talking to other founders and they're like, oh, like I'm always, like I'm running around all the time and I feel like I'm really busy, but I'm not getting anything done. I'm like, well, when you categorize them into two boxes, like, are you making things or are you managing people? Because they're very hard to do both. You know, I know you either try and find either mornings or evenings for your maker mode. Manager mode just comes in your door because your phone doesn't stop blowing up. And I'm definitely finding the same now as Magnet's starting to pick up. But
you just said it there, it's the phone blowing up. Like a lot of times when you see a business person on a phone, right, it's probably like, it's like time that's kind of getting lost, you know, into thin air, right? Like I found, like I actually love this from just dealing with US customers, is you get so much things done so much faster on iMessage. It's like quick things of like, have you fired over the contract? Signed, great. Can you send me this? You know, it's like short, concise, and you're not like, it's, I think in Ireland it's so easy to be misunderstood if I send something like to you of, have you done this before, you know, or Daragh, have you done this or whatever, and you send that message. People over here are kind of freaking out, but over there it's a culture of you got to walk and chew gum at the same time. And like that whole loop, I hear that pain because I'm in that pain. I think most business owners always end up firefighting at some point of just, like, you could be end up working and I start creating an invoice and someone's calling me while I get a WhatsApp with a bad message that we've done something, you know, that we shouldn't have done. Then you're getting your email notification. It is very overwhelming, you know, and I think it's like you're prioritizing, you know, what to respond and how to respond. You're a firefighter, you know, so like, whereas like trying to be a bit more strategic on it, like I see like a lot of people just create these blocks of hours where it's uninterrupted time. But like when you have something in the back of your mind that you want to achieve, or like is bugging you, or you've seen that message, even the preview, you know, because like we live on our phones now, so if you see a preview of something like that, you just want to like tap in and see what's going on, you know. So that's one thing I found like to be a truth. I do agree with that. You know? It is shocking though, like half the output is gone.
And like meetings a lot of the time are kind of useless, or like what I've seen are kind of useless. And then, you know, actual messaging, a lot of it can be chopped away. Like it really should be like, and what I'd be definitely striving for, and I think with the AI age, is that like it should be like 70% is actually creating value and 30% is like just banging messages around and actually catching up.
I think you got to change the perspective of meetings to workshops. I found so much better to do a workshop of like 35 minutes on this topic and these are the deliverables, because like a catch-up meeting, I found it's like it's an endless talk of, hey, how are you, and you end up doing X, Y, Z, and it's great in one sense, but also it's useless, you know. So it's like trying to create workshops, whether it be in person, it's just brainstorm, you know, is the way I've started to trial it. So see how it works.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I definitely think, and I really like the conversation. Like, obviously, being a founder and like head of an organization, there's an element of like you're running the organization, like comms and you making decisions quickly and effectively is definitely very important. But I feel like that shouldn't bleed down your entire organization. It's like project managers are there to like shield people doing the work, doing the deep work, delivering whatever, building the thing or whatever. And the fact that that's being taken away, it's like, well, everyone's becoming ineffective, and then you know that spins off into like, I don't feel satisfied with my job, I'm not happy, and I'm constantly answering messages all day and I'm never getting anything done, I'm always behind, I'm stressed out, and you know, this kind of like loop just keeps going on and on. So I think it's an interesting one, and I think it's definitely one in the AI age of like, where do AI agents come in and actually just take certain roles. And I think people being distracted with messaging all day is not going to help.
Did you see the Mark Zuckerberg comment about Meta's creating their own AI to be like a mid-level engineer?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
To like write code, deploy, and do certain things.
This year,
it's I don't know what's next.
Yeah,
you know?
It's interesting though, because as we've seen, like, they're obviously going to be the top tech companies and your first movers that'll all move. But you know yourself, the rest of the business community will take the next 10 or 15 years to catch
15
up.
years.
That's what I mean. Like, and I think it's one thing I really, really grapple with, and I've said it in a previous podcast of like, I definitely have moments where I go, oh my God, I'm not moving fast enough. Oh my God, AI this. Oh my God, I'm behind. Then I go, but actually, if we look at history and how fast businesses move, 80 to 90% of businesses will take 10 years to adopt all this sort of stuff. And like, you know, typically first movers don't always necessarily win either, because they typically brunt the cost of figuring out and trying loads of things that don't work and won't work. Whereas the rest of the people who step back and go, I'll see this all plays out. Once the dust settles, then I'll make my move. And you know yourself, there'll be a mixture of both, because, you know, there's a talk now of, will every company have their own custom software to handle the business's problems, or will SaaS turn into highly customizable software that does meet everyone's demands? Will there be super apps where everything's getting boiled into one space, or will it be extremely niche AI agents that do different tasks? Like, it's like, because obviously I'm really deep in it, I really consume a lot of the news, so I really want to be on the cutting edge of what's going on as much as I can. And really, from my experience with Grafton, of seeing how businesses actually move in reality and how cautious and slow they move, but then listening to the tech news, I think it's like really boiling that down to the best products will boil to the top, and the people actually solving real problems will boil to the top. So that's just what I'm relentlessly, you know, focused on, you know.
Yeah, like, it's interesting. I think if you look at a company like Uber, where you can get whatever you want delivered to your door, and you can get to wherever you want from your door, right? The whole concept. Like, I feel like people have their go-to apps for certain tasks, you know, and it's kind of what you see in the younger generation, the Gen Alpha now, is they have so many apps on their phones, right? And it's not like it's I think it's overload of applications and what you can do, from games to socials to content to everything. Like, people have what's that app that people have there? Not Pinterest, you know, like
Reddit.
No, do you know, on their people on their Instagram have, oh well, I don't really post to my Instagram, but here's Visco. Yeah. Like, who is on Visco? You know, I didn't even know Visco existed until like 2-3 years ago. You're like, oh, Erik, come on, you're a boomer. But like, who?
It's mainly
it's
girls.
Like a picture frame or something.
Yeah, it's mainly girls.
Why do you have a Visco and an Instagram?
Because Instagram, well, the way it's explained to me is that Instagram is the polished pictures that might be slightly face tuned and slightly edited and it's really perfect. Where Visco is for the fun, like, oh, I love these pictures, but they're not an Instagram quality. Like, it's.
So I mean, I think then my point even becomes more valid, is why do we have so many apps for the same thing?
Yeah.
You know, like, why do you gotta look a little bit different on this app? Like if your Visco's in your bio, people can click into it. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like rocket science, like, oh, like, more pictures here in Visco. I'm like, well, why don't you just use the one app and actually use it fully?
Yeah.
Just another app, another account, another terms and conditions, another time spend on that of like, oh, this is where I'm just uploading my memories.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you got to do that on Google Drive if you really want to hide what your pictures look like, right? Yeah. So I don't know. I just think it's just gone into this whole overload of, you see so many apps going public and so many. It's just too much. So I think people need to like start to. I think the super apps is where the interesting part is.
Me too. Yeah.
Like, I would much prefer having a lot of my tasks, you know, where what I use my phone for, in a safe, secure, and efficient environment.
Yeah.
Always. Like, I think security and privacy is something that I think like is growing concern for everybody, and we just don't know what information is exposed online now, right? And like, you see all those things in the news and you're like, well, I guess we've all signed up for Facebook when we were all 16, 17, you know, we've all, you know, shouldn't have, but it is what it is, right? But I don't know, I think like, again, like, Facebook is a marketplace, it's a social place, it's a dating place now, it's an advertising space. It's like the way you could post, like, it's so weird. It's our generation no longer uses Facebook, I think, right? But like, what's the actual difference between Instagram and Facebook? Instagram just has less clutter, you know. So it's Snapchat. Like, why do people use Snapchat now? You know, like I feel like Snapchat, you just go on to it, just like send people just a quick picture of, hey, I'm alive, that you haven't spoken to actually in person for over a year.
Yeah.
You know, and like, whereas I think back when we were in school, it was like streaks were popular, still is probably, you know, but it's just become this. Live streaming goes on there, subscription goes on there, like it's like another place for people to go and brain rot. You know, there's probably no other way to express that. Like YouTube again is, you know, being the king of content probably for, you know, since I've known my sanity on the internet. But I think it's like YouTube has kind of phased in a different direction now. You know, like TikTok and these other platforms just like taking over content, because it's like people's attention span, because they have so much going on, is so short. Yeah. You know, like when I see a 3-year-old on an iPad like constantly like watching videos or scrolling on TikTok, that's like dangerously creating ADHD type reactions, you know, and results. So I'd be much more pro for technology to become this super app where it is monitored, it is secured, but it is efficient. Yeah. You know, like I really love Uber. I lived on Uber now for the last 3 weeks, and you get everything done: shopping, food, you know, your travel. It's just perfect. Yeah. You know, so
of course you said the food before you said that.
Perfect, right?
Yeah. No, it is a great app. But no, I definitely agree, and I really believe that super apps are probably the next steps, because I feel like you're right. Gen Alpha are okay with having like 20 places to go, but when you're talking about business, talking about obviously company control, you're talking about like just efficiency, and even like the amount of kick up I've heard from people having like, God, for work I have 7 apps on my phone. Okay, I'll put it in a folder, but I still have to go in and out of 7 apps. It's like, no, okay, hey, you're on board into this company. Here's 2 apps you need to download. One to manage clock in, clock out, or whatever. One to manage your kind of general work and task management or whatever, messaging, whatever. And it's like, okay, there are your 2 things. That's it. And same with your desktop. Like again, here in front of me, like I've got so many different, like, you know, different apps on my desktop. It's like, why do I need? And like you said, a lot of them do the exact same thing.
Like there's a controversial opinion probably, but like you look at where one like, you know, 2 or 3 of the largest powers on you know, on Earth, China, Russia, India, all basing themselves on super apps. Yeah. You know, like WeChat being really like a really big one. Yandex in Russia, like food delivery with drones and everything. And it's like I'm sure like the Indian alternative is the same, but it's just all like super, like, you know, and like there's probably like a lot of opinions against, well, why can't you just like create an app that does one thing really right? It's like, because I don't want to remember my password in 10 different places. Yeah. You know, and that's just probably the simple answer to that.
But even you're seeing even like, when you're super niche, which obviously starting a product makes sense, you know, solve a very niche problem. But like, let's say Calendly, like Google Calendar came out with a feature and has basically killed Calendly.
Yeah, like
overnight.
Yeah, like when someone sends me their Calendly link, I just get the ick.
Yeah. Well, when I get now, have you started using the bookable thing on Google Calendar?
No.
So they have the full feature now. So I've created a thing where I can send a Google link and I can book in my calendar.
No way.
Yeah.
Sorry, I should be more aware of these things. No, I didn't get that feature.
Yeah, no, really handy. So now when someone's like, can I book in a slot with you? I'm like, yeah, no problem. Book in for Thursday afternoon and here's my link, and book into my calendar.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but Calendly had that for years. But
don't ever send me a link like that. I'll still get the ick whether it's on Calendly or not.
But I find it useful sometimes, because like, it's like, instead of having this back and forth, like, are you free this day, are you free that day? I'm like, I'm free Thursday afternoon. Please just book in.
Just book in and go.
And it saves a lot of back and forth. So anyways. Yeah. So do you want to hop on to one of your first points?
Yeah, like one of my first points is probably my main concept of my New Year's resolution, because like I've tried many New Year's resolutions of like, oh, like, do I go to the gym more, or do I dedicate more time? No, let me just start with like a different angle and see how 2025 treats me based on that. So like I was recommended to read a book called The Courage to Be Disliked, and started reading it. I haven't finished reading it fully, but it's been like, I don't read books, you know that. Yeah. But like, this has been like one of the books that has really captured my interest and my attention. I think a lot of people naturally are people pleasers, right? And one of the things I found as well, that I'm definitely a people pleaser in a lot of sense, where you're always trying to just say yes, just to get out of situations, or just to have that quick bit of, yeah, look, you can count on him. Yeah. You know, and I think it's a little bit of a, like the Irish culture as well. I think Irish people hate saying no. Like, even, you know, an Irish person bumps into you, so you bump into them, they say sorry to you. You know, sorry, I didn't mean to bump into you. You know, or like, it's. I think it's an Irish thing to say yes a lot. Americans will tell you no, like, straight up like this. There's no people pleasing. You know, and it's just like, it's one of those things that I want to get into a little bit more of, valuing self more longer term, and that by saying not exposing myself to situations where I'm just setting myself up for internal pain, disappointment, anger, because I don't actually get those things done. You know, it's like I say yes to like so many different things, and I just realize, well, actually those are the things where I say yes to, people have to chase me for. So am I really doing it as a favor and I want it, or am I just doing it to people's please? And like the book is very, like, goes into depth about that, and like I recommend anyone to read that, you know. And it's just one of my things, I just wanted to say it on the podcast, is I actually think more and more people need to get into that mindset of just like learn to say no. It's such a hard word to say. And look, especially at the start of business, you're going to say yes to everything. Everyone, you know, everyone wants to do the best for you and be there for you and all that. But the reality, like, the whole thing here is you have to evolve and get better and learn and have the experience to say no. That's not for me today, or no, I don't think that's a good idea. And that's just one thing that is really going to be, I think, transformative for any person looking to take their career to next level, is learn how to navigate these situations. Like, you might not say no straight up, you might just say, it's not for me. You know, like, just learn to say no. Again, I think it's very hard.
One of the best phrases I heard around that is, when you say yes to someone else, you're saying no to yourself. So every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to yourself and what is actually important to you and what your goals are and what... Because you're giving your attention, your time, or whatever away. Is there anything... So obviously we're 12 days into the year. Do you have any stories that you could share around you starting to implement that, if you had an opportunity yet to implement it?
I had a little bit of an opportunity recently where a company reached out to us. I won't name names. Company reached out to us. We would have done a little bit of work for them, and they essentially invited us. Like, the founder reached out and said, "Hey Erik, we'd love to catch up with you." And the catch up was a little bit around, hey, you know, like, we love you guys. You know, we're going to fundraise and everything, but like, would you guys be interested in taking equity in our business and you know, like, basically working for less and doing more, you know, over the long run? And I was like, I'm actually I don't have time for this. And I said it just like very confidently. I just said, like, actually, this is not something that fits into our agenda this year. Really want to support you guys onwards, and if it's anything to do with, you know, budgetary like that, we can always resolve. You know, we can get a different team on board here that costs less or whatever. You know, we can reduce those expenses. But in terms of my time, I can't dedicate time for this because I'm busy. And when I said it, I felt so like bad saying it, because like, this founder is a good person. I could work with the founder, but it's just like, I'm like, it's actually not on my agenda. I'm sorry. And they were like, oh, okay, yeah, fine. They were just probably like, everyone's so used to hearing the yes, you know. And I was like I need to give some more no's for me. You know, it's not to say like, oh my God, I don't believe in your business, something. No. It's like, I shouldn't feel bad saying no. And that's like recently, literally like last week, this happened, and it kind of came out of nowhere, so it even caught me off guard a little bit, and I'm like, no, can't do it, doesn't fit on my agenda. So again, I'm not saying to always, I actually think I got to where I am for saying a lot of yeses and being a person that everyone can count on, and that's great. And people can continue to count on me. It's not going to change. But certain tasks or certain favors I can no longer be cashed in on, you know, starting in January, because it actually just doesn't, I don't enjoy that. And that's the whole concept that I'm just trying to implement this year.
But I also think you've said yes to enough things that align with what you want to accomplish, that you trying to stack more things in there is just going to decrease the value of everything else you've already said yes to. You know, you're almost kind of disrespecting you yourself and like, you know, whatever personal goals you have and like any other business things that you've, you know, assigned time to this year, because, you know, if your attention's taken on like a fractional equity in a company that you're not day to day involved in and not day to day, you know, involved in, obviously like the offer.
It's taking up real estate in my mind, which means I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just it's just not going to be something I'm going to enjoy doing if I don't actually have the time or the bandwidth or the passion for that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you asking me to go and you know, like I don't have the passion for example, for gardening. Yeah. Like I'm not going to go be able to help you in your garden, Daragh. I'm sorry. Yeah. You know, just it's like a no.
But you had a gardening flair last year, though.
I did, yeah.
Maybe I did. This is a funny example.
Yeah, I went on I just dug up the whole backyard and
put it back together again.
Yeah, pretty much, because I just lost passion halfway through.
That's so funny. Such a funny.
I just sent you a picture of the digger and the whole garden was digged
dug
up.
I was like, "Are you having a psychotic break, or are you doing
It's so therapeutic to be on the digger, though. Like everyone's told me this. I was like, I'm gonna innovate the garden, and I bought slabs and I bought wood, and I spent a friggin' fortune on my garden, and I rented the digger, and the digger was so much fun. Like I was there for hours, you know, up and down and everything. I was just a lot of time to think, you know, and I started putting down the wood and everything, and I was like, oh, this is not for me. Yeah. So, I tried to be a handyman, it just wasn't suited.
So guys, if Erik ever says no to you,
he's not a digger in his backyard.
Just the timing of that was just really funny.
That was good. But I so forgot about that. That's embarrassing.
That was like
last summer, wasn't it?
Yeah, like, it was like 6 to 8 weeks of like you were like your every Sunday was just spent on the digger. I was like, are you doing okay? Like, is this like some weird like mental health arc here?
I didn't do my winter arc. I done my digger arc.
Oh, so funny.
Oh my god, yeah, that is a throwback in a way.
But time wise, we actually had a really good catch up there at the start, which I think was good chats. I think what we probably do is save both of our second points and go to our actual listener question instead. Is probably
all right. Awesome.
Time wise. So got a question in here. In the scenario where you have a prospective customer but they're hesitant, they're just afraid of the change, what have you found to be the best way to alleviate the hesitancy? Do you back off a little bit? Do you offer testimonials? Do you simply leave it with them? Maybe there's no golden answer, but I just thought I'd throw a question in for the podcast. So basically what they're asking is, when you have someone that's like, could be a customer, they're maybe showing some interest, but they're a little standoffish, and you know they're saying they're afraid of change, which could just be something they're saying. What way do you try and combat that with customers?
I think it's actually a really great question.
I agree.
I think there's a couple of methods to it. Like, you got to understand where the friction point is. Is it the fear of change? Is it the expenditure? Is it the timeline? You got to understand where the pain is, right? And like what I like to ask, a very straightforward question is, if you had a magic wand, what would you like to do here today? And that kind of just goes, oh well, actually if we could do it over 6 months, it'd be great. I know, look, okay, so that's 6 months. So you try to capture these little detail. Like, if it's just an overall scare of engagement, but they're interested and they understand that this is an important part of where they need to go in the future, I lead with tasters. Just like you go into Tesco and you don't know what you're having for dinner, but you know you want to have dinner at one point. So there's people doing those like quesadillas there and just like, have a bite, I'm going to have quesadilla tonight. So I like to then lead in with tasters of like, okay, well, why don't we do like you gotta know the dynamic you have in the room in sales, right? So you're either going to be a little bit more dominant with the customer or a little bit less dominant because they understand and they need you to execute, or you need to be a leader in the room. So it's different dynamics exist in that room. Like, give you 2 examples. I think if you need to be a little bit more dominant in the room to be a leader, to show them where they need to look at it, I would just give them a small plan of, here, let's start off with this. And you just got to know what you have, the chips you can play with as a salesperson. For example, let me give you X, Y, and Z, you know, and it's 10% of what the original conversation was, and give them a long time frame of 2-3 months. Never just say like 7 days, 2 weeks, or something like that, because realistically, all decisions are made. If they're entertaining you already, they're interested. It's just a matter of unlocking the execution, and that's like a small play, and sometimes it's a small build. And it's like, it just depends on the leader you're talking across the table. Are they a person that wants to jump straight into change, or are they a person that wants to like phase in, do it nice and slow?
Yeah.
You know?
No, I think that's really good, valuable. And the only thing I'd add on top of that, and which I found, what I always try to sniff out, and again, I'm talking about service sales here, I'm not talking about product sales, is, do they want an expertise company to come in and advise, or do they want someone who's going to do a service for them? Do they want it done for them or done with them? Because they're two different approaches. Because, you know, if you're coming in and you're like, we're experts at web development or whatever, but they want to lead the project, they want it done exactly how they want it. They don't care about your expertise, your decades. They just want a web developer to build what they want to build. Or, you know, obviously, are you an expert, or are you just being done for them? So I think that was one thing definitely on the sales front for service side is, what are they looking for, and does that align then with what you're trying to actually sell? Like, do you want to be an expert company, or do you want to just be an outsourced development house? You know, and I think definitely figuring that out, because if you run into a project and you think you're going to be an expert and they just want someone just to listen to what they want and just do what they want, that can cause big problems for a project, and we've seen that over and over again.
100%. But a really good question. I think, again, it's like continuously building trust, identifying where the leverage points that you can really engage on in that conversation. Providing that, you know, little taster. B, understanding what position you're sitting in. Are you in the position of, we need you to do this, or we need you to tell us how to do this? So you're a consultant or an executor. Just got to understand that dynamic in a room. And like, actually, like, I see this now very often, sitting in front of school principals and engaging with them actively, there is an understanding that, you know, digital is where they need to go. The government is telling everybody to go and do this. The problem is resource, from both an expertise internally, to financial resource, to time resource. You know, those are the pain points. The only way we can help is by providing, you know, a clear path to transformation on those agenda points. I think once you hit that, in most conversation, as long as the customer, like, when they're already talking to you, they are interested. Nobody wastes time on just listening. You know, like, that's why cold call can be either really successful or really unsuccessful. If you're tapping into a really sore point to a customer that didn't want to hear about this, they will end up asking, could you just do me like a follow-up email or something? But if you're just going to call them and you're talking to me about life insurance and it's just not on my agenda, I'm just going to say, sorry, no. You know, stop calling my phone. So it just depends how you lay it up and what point of time you're actually engaging.
Yeah, like the one I really like, the framework I like is, okay, there's a dream outcome there, or like, you know, like a pain point looking to solve if they're pain aware. Then it's like, okay, do they think you're able to do it? Okay, tick. Okay, can you do it inside the time period they want? Tick. Do they think it'll be a lot of effort for them to do it? If you can decrease that, it's like, okay, well, this guy then obviously comes down to money. Like, is money a constraint here? You know, like when you real boil business down, it's really a lot of like common sense. It's like, okay, you have a pain. How fast do you want the pain solved? Do you think I can do it? And do you have the money to pay me that I'm willing to actually solve that pain for you? You know, and like that's really what business all boils down to. You get all high and mighty and whatever. And something I always loved about business and my rational brain, I always really loved that, is that like, this all comes down to common sense, especially like, obviously this is primarily
a lot of them. It is common sense.
And B2B sales, B2C is a lot more kind of emotional selling to some degree. You know, and something I haven't really touched on that much is B2C sales. But on B2B, it's like, can you statistically show me that you're going to reduce my cost in this area or make me more money? And have you done it before? Yes, I have 1,000 reviews. Well, okay. You know.
That's like you're building trust, and then you're kind of getting in. But that's why there's high returns in a lot of, you know, retail and B2B or B2C. Like, a note I wanted to make is, I think a really good, like, you have, like, the biggest problem usually is there's fear in the room by the salesperson being afraid to walk out there without a deal. That's one of the biggest problems I've identified for my short career in sales, because you wear many hats when you're an entrepreneur. I think the biggest thing you have to do is, you have about 5 to 15 minutes to build a reputation and a relationship with that individual. So that is not by you showing how great showing all your badges and achievements and how great you are. It's you asking questions that you see that are face value to this person. Yeah. You know, for example, if this person has a lot of football jerseys on the wall of their office, they're interested in football. So if I'm interested in football, that's going to come off real genuine. If I'm not interested in football, I try to make a comment and I get caught out straight away. It's not going to be. So don't try to be smart in a conversation. As you said, be logical, take the next steps, but build that reputation, because people buy from people. You know, and I know what it's like, and you know what it's like when you can't afford to walk out without a deal. Yeah. Like, I totally get that, and that's desperation, and that has a huge cost to that. Totally. Yeah. So, some you still pay after years. Scared money don't make money. And but you got to understand when you can walk out of that room and have that confidence, and again, just reflect on the dynamic and push that through. But if you don't have that relationship built, and you just genuinely come in there to sell and get an order sheet, it's just not going to work. You know, like, I would bet 90% of the time people actually go for it if they feel comfortable with engagement, because you can make anything work, and everybody's human at you know, at the end of the day. It doesn't matter if you're the CEO of X and I'm the CEO of X. We're there to do business. We're two humans. We're connecting. We're building trust. So the only thing that's going to stop us here is mistrust, which is kind of like leaning into fear. So those would be my points, and that's a great listener question. Thank you. No, thank you very much for the question. So again, anyone got this far in the episode, thank you very much for listening. Please do send in questions. We'll be recording another couple of podcasts this week. We're also going to do the whiteboard session about us getting our first acquisition offer. Yeah, this that you've been promising for a long time. You promised it. I have the clip, buddy. Pull up the B-roll. Oh my god. And actually you did it very well. The clip, they got a lot of views. People are interested in hearing that. So, because that's something people don't usually lift the lid on okay, hey, how could I have got 5 times more value out of my company, 5x multiple increase in EBITDA wise of my company. 100%. So we will do that. So we'll do that this week, and we'll do another sit down episode then as well. So this has been a good fun chat. It has been. You only got the plane this morning, so fair play for being in here this evening. Literally, I got off the plane at 4 a.m, got into my bed at 7, had a nap till 2 p.m, and then just got out and about, and I think it was it's nearly 28. Yeah, it's nearly 8 p.m. But don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on Spotify and do all that good stuff. Yeah. And we're back every week with a new episode. Yeah, we haven't missed an episode yet. Not yet, and that's why we're here recording on a Sunday evening. So Martin, let's get editing quickly. We need this tomorrow. Thanks. Amazing. Thanks. Right. Thanks, guys. Bye.